Stuart Watson, Andy Warren here at Portman Road, where Ipswich Town have beaten Derby County 1-0 Friday night under the lights, bumper Portman Road crowd. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun. Not the best Ipswich Town performance, but a really good night and 3 really big points. Sometimes the scruffy ones can be the really enjoyable ones, can't they? And you could see by the scenes at full time with the players on the pitch and the expressions on their faces how much this meant. It was a big night for Ipswich this for a number of reasons, and they've got the job done.
Yeah, in front of the TV cameras for a start.
Yep.
So that's another little monkey off the back that needed to happen. As you say, they'll play better than this and lose. But they ultimately got the job done today. I thought for long periods of this game it was 2 teams cancelling each other out, similar-ish in terms of styles. Kieran McKenna's picked a front 4 that I don't think many people would have predicted going into this game. We had Tyrese John-Jules as the false 9. Caden Jackson out on the left, Wes Burns out on the right, and the game plan was pretty clear that Ipswich were going to try and utilise their pace and get in behind. Derby was similar-ish really, with Mendez Lang on one side, Barkhausen on the other as well, and stylistically they sort of cancelled each other out for long spells. Very intense, I thought, lots of good pressing in the game, but short on chances, wasn't it, up until 70 odd minutes?
Yeah, I think you could probably say that Ipswich's game plan worked, but what it lacked was the execution. They got themselves into the areas that they wanted to get into, but I think you could probably label this at all of the forward players, that every time they got there, the final ball wasn't there, things went missing, really neat turns on halfway to make space, and then the through ball isn't there, and that was just happening time and time
Marcus
again.
Harness kind of epitomised that. There was a few moments where he did the hard work, lovely little spin in the first half to beat his man, then overcooked his pass with people to aim for inside the box. Similar thing happened with him in the second half, and that was kind of the topic of the theme of the game, wasn't it really? Ipswich worked really hard, rose to the occasion certainly tonight in terms of the crowd, the atmosphere, everything surrounding it, but just didn't quite finish it off when they got to the final third. And as you got to the latter stages, you're starting to think, is this heading towards a 0-0? I mean, Christian Walton's not had a save to make tonight, has he?
No, every time Christian Walton was needed, it was to get off his line quickly and get down for balls, which I thought he did really well. But the goal, which we'll talk about in a minute, came at the perfect time, because that game was drifting at that point. I think as the goal went in, Ipswich were preparing some subs from the bench, which that game badly needed at that point, something fresh, a bit of an injection. But rather than a substitute being the injection, it was ultimately the winning goal. So
the winning goal comes from a mistake as well. Derby County mistake. Good pressure, we have to say, first of all, from Ipswich. We talked about that high press, hunted impacts today, and that forced ultimately a really poor back pass from Curtis Davis, undercooked, and Caden Jackson, alert to get there ahead of the goalkeeper, goes around him, goal gaping, and he manages to hit the post. Thankfully, it comes straight out to Wes Burns, who showed great composure to take a touch and put it into the net with a defender on the line.
Credit to Marcus Harness as well. If you look at the replay, Marcus Harness has got time to turn around and say to Wes Burns, calm down, you've got time. I don't know if you'll get an assist for that on your stat sheet, but it certainly helped, because I think we could all picture Ipswich players of the past taking a lash at that, thinking you're going to think you've got a man at your back, you're going to think you've got pressure, but he didn't. He had all the time in the world, helped by Marcus Harness. He took a touch and a really nice finish, actually took the man on the line out of it completely.
Pleased for Wes Burns. I thought he looked much more like the Wes Burns of old tonight. He was that trademark sort of push and run, isolating his marker and really trying to get at people tonight. End product wasn't always there, but at least he looked like that spark of Wes Burns of last season there. And then Derby obviously have to go and chase the equaliser. I think they chuck Curtis Davis, veteran centre-half, goes up front for sort of 10-15 minutes at the end, and that left gaps, and Ipswich could and should have probably killed this one off and had a glorious opportunity to do it with a penalty. David McGoldrick, formerly of this parish, comes on for Derby, dives in a little bit on Wes Burns in the box, or he was kind of already on the floor really, and Burns tripped over him. He'd got his head on a corner, and the ball had come back to him. Penalty. Oh, David McGoldrick is the chant, ironically, from the north stand, and with no Connor Chaplin or Lee Evans on the pitch, Caden Jackson grabs the ball, and unfortunately it was saved.
Yeah, very quickly he grabbed the ball straight over to get it from the corner over there at the north stand. Incredibly, I think that's the 4th penalty that's been missed against Derby in October alone. With Joe Wildsmith making the save today, I think he stopped a couple of those as well. The others went wide. So Derby living a bit of a charmed life with penalties, but
and Ipswich missing penalties as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago we were talking about very few penalties over 30-something games. I can't remember the stat. McKenna it was after the Portsmouth game, wasn't it, when Portsmouth had 2 penalties, and McKenna was saying we haven't had one for ages, and then since then there's been 3 in the space of a few games, of which Ipswich have scored 1.
Yeah, but obviously with, as you say, no Evans, no Chaplin, man number 3 steps up, and it's not the worst penalty I've ever seen, but it certainly wasn't one of the best either. A decent height, and certainly not in the corner, pushed away. But just thankfully it didn't cost Ipswich tonight, because it could have done. They could have done.
It could have done, and Ipswich had other opportunities, good openings, where again weren't quite clinical enough in the final third to kill them off. Kieran McKenna, as always, talks about rooms for improvement, things we need to do to work on after the game, keeping everyone's feet on the floor, recognise it's a big win, but we're still in October, and 3 points are all worth the same as each other, and Port Vale already coming up on Tuesday night away from home, and that is a game, and either Ipswich are going to be without their first choice midfield too.
Yeah, Lee Evans limped off in the second half, and that is a knee problem, which without any timescale being put on it tonight, pretty clear from Kieran McKenna's face when discussing it, that's certainly going to rule him out of the Port Vale game, and I'd imagine something a bit longer term than that. And Sam Morsey suspended. That 5th yellow card was always going to come, and it now has. So you have to think that's probably Don Ball and Cameron Humphreys starting a league game in the middle of midfield for Ipswich on Tuesday night.
Yes, yeah. Kamara's not up to speed yet, is he? That was clear from the Cambridge Cup game in midweek. Far too early for him, you would imagine. So, yeah, not a midfield that we would have been expecting. Hopefully nothing too long for Evans, because I think he's been right up there in terms of Ipswich's best performers at the start of this season. But let's not finish on a sour note. This is a big win for Ipswich tonight against good opposition, in front of the TV cameras, in front of a big crowd. Great to put that Lincoln result to bed quite quickly. Hopefully the start of another good run. Port Vale away on Tuesday night. We'll see you there.